we live? Are we live? I'm live again. 3 weeks in a row. I'm live. I'm here with my man, RJ Breeden. Real quick housekeeping tip. Normally I got my Carhartt on. It's a little chilly out today. I've upgraded to a nice North Face so I can stay warm. My man RJ's always dressed to the point. So he's got his beautiful, nice looking trench coat. Is that what they are?
Something like that.
Yeah, I can never keep up, man. So luckily I got a cameraman here today. My brother's in from Charleston. He's willing to hold the phone, so hopefully his arm doesn't go dead. So real quick, I wanted to come out here with RJ. He just, we were talking, and I said, hey, why don't we do a quick interview? He was showing me around one of the, what are these, condo type houses?
Yeah, luxury condo building down here in Harbor East, 717 President Street, better known as Spinnaker Bay. Obviously a beautiful view of the inner harbor and downtown Baltimore.
Yeah, they were really cool condo units. I don't think we're ever going to get properties like that in our rental portfolio. If we do, probably means we made it. So I wanted to talk to RJ. Obviously, there's a lot of things going on. RJ's a realtor locally here in Baltimore, Maryland, one of the leading realtors in the market. And I just wanted to talk to him. 2019 or the end of 2018 has been kind of funky. What do you think is going to happen in 2019 with the real estate market, and specifically with those that are into flipping real estate or selling real estate more than landlords?
Oh, that's a great question, and I appreciate the invite out here today. Nobody has a crystal ball, but what I will say is I think the housing market, we've seen a negative trend in prices coming down. What does that mean to the real estate investor? I think you have to be mindful of your acquisition price. But you also have to keep in mind a realistic expectation on the back end when selling the house. I think you have to put your right foot forward. Don't try to shortcut anything. Inventory is probably at maybe a 7-year high right now. And then it's also advising your seller and or your investor on the right resale values, which I think has a tremendous amount of success when it comes to listing your home in and around Baltimore, DC, and things like that.
Right. So basically, you're saying you as the realtor, you're really trying to set an expectation for those that want to sell the property, whether you're a real estate investor or a homeowner. That you want to set a realistic expectation. I think the days, and you can comment better, over the past 2-3 years, everything was trending like this. Absolutely. So you could make a bad buy and then still make money on the end, or the market was so hot people were just buying in 2-3 days. Are those days of 2-3 24-hour listings, are they still existent, or are they gone in the marketplace currently?
I think right now they're still around. They are still around, but to the investor that's trying to make an extra 30-40 grand higher than their last comp in the zip code or the area, I think those days are gone. I think when you have clear expectations of with your investor or with your seller, I think it goes a long way when you can still kind of get those same results. Maybe if you're currently looking to list a house at $425, maybe 9 months ago or 12 months ago, I think maybe a realistic list price now is at $399 mark. So you're still capturing that $425 buyer, but you're also hitting a different buyer's pool with that $399 list price. So you're hitting the buyer that's potentially sub 400. And I think that has a lot of value because you're trying to hit a broader market of potential buyers in the area.
Right. Now you brought up a few good points that I want to go back to when you first started talking, and one of them is acquisition price. You said you think investors have better success when it comes to the acquisition price. In our game, with the rental game, we can always back our numbers out from the end and say this is what we need to buy it for, and if you make the wrong buy, you're owning this asset for a really long time and you're in trouble if you made that wrong buy. And you see the same key thing in the people that flip real estate, that making the buy is the most important step of the process, you think?
Yes, 100%. So purchase right, it's already half sold. Right. Purchase wrong, you could be holding.
Right.
And I've seen that in the market a little bit recently. Some guys that are residential flippers in the game, they're not achieving the rehab value that they're looking for, and they're refinancing out of their hard money loan and putting it into a rental portfolio, hoping that the market comes back around 6 to 12 months from now to hopefully get them out of the properties and or zero out on where they're at financially, all in on these deals.
Yeah, so real quick, if anybody has any questions, feel free to pop them up. We're on our cell phone, so it might be hard to get to them. We'll answer them afterwards. I want to go back to that. It's a really interesting point. Me and Jason Balin from Hard Money Bankers, we've discussed this a lot. Is, you know, for those that flip houses, it's real easy to go from an asset to a liability real quick, right? So if you don't make that right buy, and you were saying people wind up keeping them as rentals. Well, we're in the rental game. It's all about metrics for us. So now you got a really expensive rental, right? Because you're doing some
100%,
right?
yeah.
You're doing upgrades that you might not do in a rental unit. That now you see people have. We do granite, but you know, really nice laminate floors or whatever it may be. We had a house on Sefton. We had it listed with you. Market was flooded. We wound up retaining it as a rental. We had carpet in the unit, which we don't do. Big no-no. It's a big mess, and it's just a really expensive rental. It does happen. Another point that you brought up that I want to jump to is you were saying about appraisers and issues with that. How often are you out there fighting? I don't want to say fighting, maybe. Disputing,
Okay.
whatever cordial word you'd like to use with appraisers, because you know, in the end, when you go to sell a property, appraisers seem to hold everybody up. You know, our two biggest issues were always home inspectors and appraisers, man. Just the two biggest wild cards. What's the best way for a real estate investor? Let me reframe the question. What's the best way for a real estate investor to dispute, discuss, frame what the property's worth with a real estate appraiser?
So I think the key is hiring a professional instead of a hobbyist. There's a lot of real estate agents out there that maybe are part-time, that are hobbyists. So when you hire a professional real estate agent, they really understand the market. They're inundated with the market. They talk to other real estate investors. They really strive for success on all levels. Recently, I'll give you an experience. I had a house under appraised by $5,000. Received a copy of the appraisal report, and when I go through it with a fine tooth comb, the appraiser was using a comp that should have justified our value, and with that he had a few lower comps in there. And I said to the gentleman, I said, "Sir, I said, I understand you're using this comp on XYZ Street, but if you look at comp A and B, they're literally in the backyard of this property. So if you're using XYZ Street, please use my comps at A, B, and C." And he said, "RJ, do you really think this house is worth, at the time, $175?" And I said, I do 100%. And the comps A and B support that price. And we put in the value dispute with the lender, and we accomplished that value. But it could have been very easily for me to just call my investor and say, "Look, the house under appraised by $5,000. We're good. We got to obviously adjust the price." Now, to the investor, that's $5,000, which is a significant deal on these, I say, lower end deals.
On a $170,000 deal, that's
absolutely.
huge. I mean, you're talking a 5%, 10% swing.
Absolutely.
And you know, not only, you know, there's a lot of people involved that are making money through it, but that affects your commission. It affects everybody involved. We used to say all the time, the lenders always get paid and the realtors always get paid. Sometimes the investors get lost. So that's good that you understand the investment game because you've been out here doing it. And he brings up a very valid point to have a real estate professional to list your property or sell your property and truly understand the market, whether you're a homeowner or you're a real estate investor. I think we covered a lot. I want to ask you two more questions. One, what do you think one of the best tips for somebody that's getting started and wants to flip real estate properties? They want to go out and sell them and do what they do on HGTV. What do you think what's a good tip that they can take home and don't forget? You know, whether it's buying right, staging a property, whatever it may be. What do you think one of the most important tips that are overlooked that you could give to a new real estate investor?
So a lot of people say, like, go out and find the deal first. I don't think that's the case. I think you need to go out and find the contractors first and hire professional contractors that do amazing work at reasonable prices, that are reliable, that get things done in a timely manner. I think that's the biggest challenge right now in the real estate market, is find people that are reliable, that you can depend on. Once you get those contractors in place, then you go out and identify the deals. We can help you identify the deals. You know, people bring deals to myself, my acquisitions manager, often, but the hardest part is finding contractors that do good work in, say, a quick time. And because what happens is you're holding the property for an extra 60 to 90 days. You're paying a hard money interest payment on it.
You're paying two contractors
Yeah,
twice.
you're paying two contractors twice. Your HVAC unit gets stolen. You know, people don't show up to the job, and it's your time is money. And,
Right.
and I think that's, you know, everybody wants to run out and find a deal, but I really think the key is hiring the right contractors or identifying the right contractors.
I think something that's getting overlooked in that is having the right contractor speed, like you said, speed your process up. 90 days in the current marketplace, that could be a 90-day downtrend that if you're not done the property and you're out when you want to be out, you could be losing money because the market's downturning, which a lot of people have seen over the past 6 months.
Yeah.
So that's a really good point. Go out, find contractors. We get asked all the time, you know, you have a contractor, you got to go out there and build that team. That's a very vital piece to your team.
Because most people want to identify the deals first, and
Right.
then they scramble around
Right.
to identify the contractors,
Well, plus-
which is valuable time again.
Right, and they might not have realistic expectations of what it's going to cost to get that deal that they think's a deal done when it's their first property. They'd be like, oh my God, like I didn't realize it's going to cost $100,000 instead of $50,000 to do all that. So that's a
100%.
cool point. So with that, I want to ask you a question. I think I'm going to start asking everybody that I interview. Let's say tomorrow the market goes away, it's all gone, you lose everything. Would you go back to real estate? What would you do to get back? You know, would you jump back into selling real estate? Is this what you do, what you love, and the best way to make money? Or
So I'm very passionate about the real estate business. I love helping families. I love helping people or investors grow their portfolios, whether it's a rental. I love helping flippers acquire the right property, advise them the correct way, stage the property, professional photography, and then get the sales price that I've obviously told them from the start with low days on market, so it's a perfect circle. So to answer your question, I love the real estate game. If the market were to turn off tomorrow, the market were to crash, I would still be in the real estate industry. I would still be representing buyers and sellers. I think you have to just adjust or make adjustments in your business model. But yeah, 100%. I'm very passionate about real estate. I love real estate, and it's a career, lifelong career for me on many levels.
yeah, I'd say with the stress that you can incur as a real estate investor, if you don't love what you do in the real estate game, it can add up real quick.
Yeah, you have to be passionate about it.
Yeah.
You really do.
Yeah.
And there's peaks and valleys sometimes in it, but in the end, when you look back on the year or the years in your career or your life,
Yeah.
And you've been in the real estate industry a long time, there's a lot of successful people and a lot of success stories out there.
Cool. So we tagged you in the post. What's the best way, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, they can obviously click through and message you, but what's the best way to get a hold of RJ and discuss selling or buying properties?
So the best way to get in touch with me, you can reach me on my direct cell phone number. That's 410-982-3761, or info@Breeden, it's BREEDEN group.com. I'm available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whether it's via text, email, phone call. I'll normally return your call within 24 hours.
Cool. Well, there you guys have it, RJ. And if you're getting into the real estate game, you want to flip a property, I'm sure RJ would take the time even before you buy the property and say, hey man, I don't think this is a realistic expectation, or it is. He can definitely guide you and help you get your property sold. I want to thank everybody again, and we'll catch you next week. Go inside and get warm.
Thank you.